it is the greatest schut, the greatest honor to have two incredible ladies. We have Mirjam Falk and we have Jenny Wahl. And Mirjam, I came to your home and you once told me, not so long ago, what happened when you were in Basel, when you went with your parents to Shul.
Pesach 1944. We were after all the things that we went through France and Belgium and camp and so on. And Pesach, my parents were staying in Basel with relatives. And we went to the synagogue, and in the shul, first of all I saw all these Swiss people very richly decorated with all their things and all the things, and we were playing. Geen vluchteling, Carolina. Geen vluchteling.
Vluchteling, had je dat maar, zei vluchteling.
Pletim is geen vluchteling. Carolina, geen vluchteling. So I felt already, I was a girl of 16, I felt very uncomfortable. But then happened a terrible thing. The Rav gave a drosha. And in the drosha he told us that there are Jewish children who did not get into Jewish homes and in Jewish families. And there is now here in Basel a little girl, she's in a Christian family, she's used to help in the household. And at night she goes upstairs in her mansard to sleep. Then she takes out her thing and sees a picture of her mother and father. And she says Shema Yisrael and begins to cry.
It's not me.
And then he said,
okay.
And then he said, I don't ask that Chas v'Chalila somebody would take her into their children's room, Chas v'Chalila. But everyone here has a dining room and a salon. Couldn't you put up a sofa and take this child to take her out of a Goyish family? Now, are you this child or not?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
But you were so you told your story, Jenny.
I went with, but I didn't went with my mother, not with my father, because I was alone. I had nothing.
You were in a Christian family?
Yes, Protestantic, yes.
So that the Rav spoke about you, probably?
Maybe. Yeah. What do you think?
Yes, for sure.
She wasn't.
Why were you in a Christian family?
Yes, in Basel.
In Basel?
In Basel, yeah.
And no Jewish family took you in?
No.
And you didn't know that the rabbi was speaking about you?
No.
And I felt horrible when I heard this. I mean, we have gone through so much trouble with the Holocaust, and these Swiss people,
yes.
I was full of them anyway. The only place we couldn't eat kosher was in the camp in Switzerland. There was no shofar, no Abba Minim. They didn't look for us for anything.
I had nothing.
But when the Rav gave this drosha and nobody put up his hand and said, I take the child, I couldn't get over it. And I'm now 93 years old and I'm still exactly, feel terrible about this, like I felt then. And that's what Dr. Glassman heard. Now,
yes.
The question is, you were in a Christian family?
Yes, Protestantic. It's not so.
Yes. Until when?
Until the end of the war, 45.
Until 45?
Until 45.
And you had no contact with the Jewish community?
No, because on this Rosh Hashanah nobody invited me, and that's all.
And you were 2 years.
And how do you?
Yes, almost 2 years.
2 years in a non-Jewish.
And how do you know that the Rav did not speak about you?
Maybe he speak, I don't know, but nobody came, nobody called. Nobody told.
She was 6, 7 years?
8 years.
But nobody. You were 2 years. You were 2 years with a.
Yes, and I was very happy.
You were happy?
Very happy.
And you could eat kosher?
No.
Or you didn't know anything about it?
I didn't know about it.
You came from a kosher family?
Of course, in Antwerp.
Of course.
Of course.
No, it's not of course.
No, it's not of course.
You came from Antwerp?
Yeah.
And your parents were still living or not?
No. First of all, my mother disappeared. The whole family of my mother was away. I was alone.
How did you come to Switzerland?
I came because from Annecy, Osé, yes, les œuvres sociales des enfants.
Osé.
Yes, and they brought them, one night they took about 4 or 5 children and they gave me the madrir.
When did you pass the border, do you know?
In 44.
44.
In 40,
Not 43?
43.
When?
Then
No, when?
October.
After Yom Tov.
After Yom Tov, yes, I didn't know about Yom Tov. And
because
then
they arrived
from
just
there,
before Rosh Hashanah.
yes,
You
no.
came after Yom Tov.
I came, yes.
And you
Yom Tov,
were taken by the Christian family and no contact with any Jew.
any Jew,
So
nothing.
The
probably
only
the
thing they
Rabbis-
didn't took her to the church on the only thing they didn't took her to the church on Sundays because they told her that she's a Jewish girl, so she shouldn't go to the church. And the other thing is that they didn't give her to eat chazir. Just the two of these things.
Okay.
And you were 8 years old?
Yeah.
8 or 9 years?
It is, just when the war was ended, it was 45, I was 10 years old.
And then what did happen?
And then she went to the Red Cross, her mommy.
You called her mommy?
Yeah. She was wonderful.
You thought that she was your mother? Or
No,
You knew?
Yes, I knew, but she was.
But Jenny, she told you that you are Jewish.
Yes, all the time. Du bist ein jüdisches, you understand German. You understand German?
Sure.
Yes, you.
Hamburg.
No, so, du bist ein jüdisches Kind. Du bist ein jüdisches Kind, du darfst nicht gehen in die Kirche.
Das ist typisch für Protestanten, nicht für Katholiken.
She was a very righteous Gentile woman. She was an incredible lady.
Protestant. If you read my book, there was a certain time that my elder sister also had to be in a Protestant
It's true.
family.
It's true. Yeah, I remember that. But she was an amazing
She was
woman.
older. She was already 16 or 17.
Since I was at 10, finished the war.
Yes, but that. So, and you had no contact whatsoever.
But Jenny, you did. She took you to shul once.
She
She
sent me,
She
yes.
sent by yourself.
Yes, I went, I knew Basel, the streets, and I
So
went
you went
to
by
the
yourself to
synagogue.
the. But
Yes.
nobody came up
You
and
knew
said.
the synagogue?
Yes, I know where the synagogue is. She also went to Religionsstunden.
And she sent you to the Religionsschule?
Yeah.
And so you had contact with the Jewish community?
Not just at Shiurim, and then I went back to her.
Nobody took her.
And
Nobody
no
asked
one
me.
had contact with you?
No, nobody asked me. Nobody from, what are you, where are you coming from? No.
It's amazing.
Schrecklich, it's takke schrecklich. When I think
I
today,
can't get over it.
אבל כל השנים אמא אמרה את זה. שיהודי
אבל-
באזל לא רצו לקחת את היהודים והיא הייתה צריכה ללכת לגויים.
You know what I can't understand?
זה כל כך מדהים אותי. עברנו. אבל לשמוע את זה,
Miriam, you know what I can't understand? You were 9 years old when you went on Rosh Hashanah to the shul
yes,
by yourself,
yes.
and nobody
But
said.
she dressed me nicely.
I know, but nobody said, "Who's this girl?" What
No,
is-
no.
Nobody said.
Nobody.
Wow.
her husband was a bankier of my husband. Is that a funny thing? Her husband, her first husband,
Yeah,
was a bankier of my husband.
that's amazing.
Yes, Ashkenazi. Better.
But Miriam, isn't it amazing that Jenny
Such a
went?
small world.
But Jenny went to shul in Basel by herself, 9 years old. This very righteous Gentile woman took you. She didn't come in
drove
with
me
you.
to the shul. No, because du bist ein jüdisches Kind. Es ist Rosh Hashanah, and in Hanukkah she used this. She knew when it's Hanukkah, she used to send for my 3 daughters chocolate like this.
That was after. That was after the war.
Yeah. When I was at the
But when
army.
you went to the shul on Rosh Hashanah
Yes.
during the war, you went by yourself inside the shul.
Yes.
But no one in the shul said, who's this girl? Who's
You were in Switzerland. Did you come to the camp au bout du monde?
No.
Where's Goodetier?
Shum camp.
But in Switzerland. where did-
No, was it in Geneva? No, there was we were in a machane, in a camp. In Geneva, yes.
Yes.
And from Geneva,
Then I asked you, were you au bout du monde?
no.
How was the
Le
kid?
camp de Cropette.
Is it?
Le camp de Cropette.
Wait.
Oui? Non.
Nous étions au camp au bout du monde.
Non, au bout du monde, c'était vraiment le bout du monde. Presque.
Oui.
And Jenny, can you tell Miriam what happened to the other girls that went with you when you escaped from France to Switzerland? Many years you got to see them.
Yeah, that was Michal, my granddaughter. That is another story.
But you can tell Miriam. Miriam will be very interested to hear.
Years and years, she didn't know who took her from her grandmother in France and grandmother and grandfather to the border of Switzerland, and she thought it was the Red Cross or something, and she didn't remember anything, just pictures of a night that the dogs were barking, and they were and the light came on, and they were sure that they were
But
caught.
you knew the name of your parents,
Yes, yes.
but no more.
No more.
And you had no brother or sister?
No, I was an only child.
Well,
And then she another
כן, על הילדות.
and then my daughter wrote in the internet. My grandmother was going through the border in 43. Please, if someone knows. And she found two French people, Jewish women.
Girls, they were also
הם היו girls, אבל הם
כן.
היו women that they said that they were with her. They were a little bit bigger than you, נכון?
Yes.
Older
One
than
הייתה שנה and one was
It's written, if you write it, it's written in a...
Okay.
דרך
And then what? And
האינטרנט.
then you went to meet them.
Right.
Yes, I went with my late husband, we went to Paris and we made a meet. I have it in the, what's
כן,
that?
זה
And
באינטרנט.
what did you find when you saw them?
It was very nice, but they don't know anything about Judaism. It's
So,
nothing.
These children were together with you.
We passed the
border
frontier,
together?
the border
איפה
to
הם?
Switzerland.
How did they find them?
איפה הם חיו?
והם הגיעו, הם
מי לקח
בפריז.
אותה? אבל מי לקח אותה?
ואנשים גם אותו קבוצה.
אבל גויים, הם נשארו בבית יתומים או שגויים?
לא, כנראה שלא. הם גם עם המדריכים, אבל בשוויץ כבר לא שמרתי. ואחר כך,
רגע, מאיפה באת בצרפת?
מצרפת, אני באתי מבלגיה לצרפת.
איפה?
מצרפת.
איפה?
מאנטוורפן.
לא, מאיפה בצרפת?
מאיפה בצרפת?
בניס.
Yeah, the first was Nice.
איפה? ניס?
Nice, כן.
And then?
And from Nice, I had one night
Who brought you to Nice?
to Nice, Lausanne probablement.
but you were with your
Don't know
grandparents as well.
anything about...
We're hiding. When we came in
And
France,
who
we were
took you out
hiding.
of Antwerpen?
From
Mother
Antwerp.
and grandparents.
Her mother and her grandparents.
Grandparents?
Yes, from Antwerp, yes, before 42. Till
And
42,
so where
everything
where
was...
were the grandparents in 44?
Pardon?
אושוויץ.
They only take me, only me they took. Only the children, Lausanne, les œuvres
But the
sociales,
grandparents were taken to Auschwitz?
all of them.
And your mother?
Also, my
So you can
mother,
tell Miriam what happened to your mother.
she also disappeared. Also, she was taken. Nothing from
She
this
went.
side.
You told me she went out and she never came back.
And she never came back, yes.
She was
Did you
in
try to
transit.
find? Did you try to find?
I tried.
Anybody try to find through the
Yeah, but there
Rouge,
was- elle était à Drancy.
uh-huh.
And after when they went to Auschwitz after 50 years, the Archeon were opening. So she found her name because the French people, הם רשמו את
עוד זין, alles angeschrieben.
נכון.
Alles
Everything's
angeschrieben.
Ja. Und,
So you came from Antwerp to France with grandparents,
and
and the grandparents stayed in Nice and were taken.
this is at the end already. I was already taken away. They took me already, Lausanne took me already in 40 and 43. October
in the children's
43.
home in France or directly to Switzerland?
No, I was in a Mahanet,
As a,
le camp des Cropettes,
en France.
en France.
Et après?
Et après de ce camp des Cropettes, on a fait un tour des enfants. On a pris 2-3 enfants, 4.
They took you from Grand de Coupet.
to
to
Switzerland, yes.
Do you remember where you crossed the border?
Annecy.
Annecy?
Oui.
It's amazing. Miriam, is this not incredible?
We did it 3 times.
I did it only once. I was alone. But מה שאני מצטער שלא דיברתי איתם צרפתית. יידיש אנחנו יודעים, כי בבית דברנו יידיש. אז הם יודעות. אבל זהו.
בעלך היה מאיפה?
פולניה, ז'שוב.
אשכנז.
כן. אשכנזי, כן.
אז דיברתם יידיש בבית?
כן. עם בעלי, כן.
ועברית. אבל אני
בעברית.
פגשתי אותך גם במקום אחר, חוץ מאשר בתור אשתו של אשכנזי.
נכון.
איפה נפגשנו?
אני לא יודעת, אולי בגלל שרה, רוץ.
עכשיו, שרה פנטילביץ'?
כן, פנטילת.
That's another story.
חברה שלי.
Okay, in English. Okay.
You don't understand the Hebrew?
It's better in English because a lot of people want to see it.
You were enough time in Israel to learn Hebrew.
No, I know Hebrew, but
I never learned English. It's
Miriam,
much
you
more
are a
difficult
genius.
for me to speak English
No,
than for
me
you.
too. I'm doing my best to speak English, but this mister wanted me in English, so I didn't believe that I'm speaking English.
Sarah Pantilat is such a story. My father-in-law had a cousin, Miss Ellen, who was a social worker.
Yes.
And one day she told my father-in-law, who was a doctor, children's doctor, pediatrician,
Falk.
and
No. Falk was his name.
Dr. Falk.
Falk, yes.
And they were still... חיים?
כן.
אתה לא תאמין, זה הבן שלי. הוא רצה להיות כשנפגש.
Can he come? Oh,
It's my son. He wanted to be there at the moment with me. חיים.
You see, הוא יודע את הדרך, אנחנו מצאנו, באנו ככה. צריך לשים.
שלום עליכם.
חיים, איזה כבוד.
מה? כבוד, מה?
חיים.
וואו, חיים, איזה... אמא
יהיו
שלך?
איזה...
זה
Your
דוקטור
אמא
גלסמן.
is... אין כמו... וואו.
זאת
אבל-
הגברת,
שלום.
שלום, אולי תוריד רגע את המסכה.
ואתה יודע,
שלום.
הלו. ענה?
לא.
מי זאת?
ענה?
למי את מי את מחפשת?
מי את?
Yeah, this is
Qu'est-ce que tu fais ici? מי גולות?
Wow.
מי זאת?
This is Annette.
She's from Antwerp, Rottenberg, and she gave out the ספר, היא הוציאה ספר. Sie hat gegeben über den Krieg. Aber sie ist
She's
viel
not over here.
erfolgreich.
Annette comes over here. But she's a macher, she's young.
I know her since child. Anne.
Hello, hi. I was here already 15 minutes ago.
Oh my
Tu
goodness.
vas pas t'asseoir?
Huh? I can take this chair.
It's
Okay. Okay, how are you, all of you?
This is...
She published a book.
אפשר להסביר לי?
Annette, just your... Annette the mask?
את יכולה להסביר לי מי את ומה?
כן, כן, שלום, שמי חנה רוטנברג.
רק רגע, חנה the mask?
איזה רוטנברג?
רוטנברג, פה שתי בתים גר פרופסור מרדכי, כן, הוא דוד שלי,
כן.
הוא דוד שלי, הוא אח של חמי, זכרונו לברכה.
בדיוק עם הילדים, כן.
Hannah, just the...
כזה
You don't need it on.
לא, not at all.
That's much better.
רוטנברג היה
גם-
החניך של בעלי.
מי?
פרופסור רוטנברג.
פרופסור רוטנברג?
אבל הכי מצחיק, כשאני רואה את הגברת, בעלה הראשון היה הבנקייה של אבא.
It's unbelievable.
זה היה אשכנזי שהלך
Je connais des fois, c'est lui qui a arrangé tout ça.
ואני רואה את הגברת, אני אומרת, את זאת שצריכה לספר לי משוויץ? כן.
כן.
ואני ראיתי אותך, אני אומרת, אני מכירה אותה.
שנים.
וואו.
אבל
שנים.
לא
את היית
דיברנו אף פעם על
בגיל
השואה.
7-8 בשוויץ?
כן.
והגעת...
גיל 10.
Oh, Jenny?
מתברר שהיא הייתה
You
באמת.
don't need it.
הוא רוצה להסריט.
עם הדז'ה בסריטים, מייר.
רגע, ומה את קשורה
אז
לסיפור?
מה אני קשורה? אז יש לי כאן כמה קשרים. קודם כל, אני את אדון גלסמן הנחמד לא הכרתי בכלל, ורק אנחנו גרים בעוזיאל באותו רחוב. אני כבר 44 שנה והוא 22 שנה. כן? 6 שנה?
22 שנה.
אני 44 שנים, והוא
26.
26 שנה, אנחנו
הוא לא
גרים...
מדבר עברית.
מדבר עברית.
כן.
אבל יותר,
חולם
בווידאו זה צריך להיות באנגלית.
ואנחנו לא ידענו בכלל אחד מהשני. עכשיו, יש לנו ידיד משותף שקוראים לו לינקר, והוא אמר לי, את צריכה להכיר את דוקטור גלסמן וזה. אני בעצם, איך אני הגעתי, כל הסיפור, אני דור שני לניצולי שואה.
In English, can
Do you understand English?
Very well.
Yes, okay. So I'm second generation of Holocaust survivors.
Who were your parents?
I'm from home, my name is Horowitz, in Poland, Polish Horowitz, and I was born in Antwerp, Belgium.
In Antwerp?
Yeah. In Antwerp.
We are together.
We're from the same Landsmannschaft.
The same school, the same.
Oh, באמת? I didn't know.
איך קוראים לך מהבית?
I was born in Hamburg, but in 1934
Yes.
we immigrated to Antwerp
Ah.
when Hitler came up.
Yes. Aha. So
And I
you
was
were
in-
before the war.
I was in from 34 till 41 in Antwerp. Yes.
So my parents arrived, of course, after the war. After the DP camps, they were in Bergen-Belsen, so they came later. And I grew up in Antwerp, and I never knew about, my parents' past. They never spoke about the Holocaust. We never asked.
You went to study Torah?
Yes, I went to study Torah.
She also.
She also, and then I got married and I came here to the country and my children were born here. And only in 1994, that's 26 years ago, my parents gave testimony. That's only when I discovered what they went through. And later I started to investigate and to learn and then to teach and then to give a lot of lectures. And finally I wrote a book. I wrote a book about my parents' experience.
And then you went to Poland?
And I went to Poland, first of all with my parents. We went 15 years ago with my parents on a family road trip.
Are you related to Rottenberg? Rottenberg is from Breslau.
Yeah, well, of course, Mordechai Rottenberg is from Breslau.
Breslau was Germany.
Yes, now it's Wrocław, now it's Poland.
I know.
Yeah, yes.
I've been in Breslau. I have been after the war.
Yes. My father-in-law is from Breslau. Yes, they are from
So
Breslau.
your parents were from Germany?
No,
not
my
from Poland?
parents, I'm Horowitz from home. My husband is Rottenberg.
Your
My husband is Rottenberg. I'm Horowitz, my parents from Poland.
So your husband is from German origin?
No, that means his grandfather, David Rottenberg, Professor Mordechai's father, came from Poland to Breslau. He escaped, that means he ran away from Poland because he didn't want to be drafted in the army. So he came to Breslau and he married
the invitation to my wedding.
Yes.
Done by the imprimé.
Yes, printed.
Printed by the parents of the
Yeah, the print Rottenberg, he had a print in Breslau, and then he had a print here in Yerushalayim. He had a print here in Yerushalayim.
רוטנברג למד אצל בעלי. תשאלי אותם, זה פשוט.
Yes, so that's my father-in-law's family. And my parents, so they gave testimony and I started to investigate. And as I told you, I wrote a book about, so I went to Poland with my parents and then I went to Poland 6 other times with the students here from Israel. And then I wrote the book through the trip in Poland with the students, etc., etc. And so now I'm lecturing about the Holocaust all over. I'm teaching in English, I'm teaching in French, and I'm teaching in Hebrew and in Yiddish even. And I'm very into the topic the whole time. That means I learned a lot, and that's it. So I spoke to Dr. Glassman, and suddenly he tells me, like out of the blues, because he told me about the testimonies that he took. So he spoke about you, Mrs. Falk, and I said, yes, I saw your book. And he said that he took also a visual testimony, which he gave to me, and I didn't have yet time to see it. And then he just mentioned, I don't know why, he just mentioned, Mrs. Falk told me that she has such a heartache because she was in Basel and there was a little girl who was hidden by Goyim at that time. And why there were Jews over there? So I said, it's interesting because we are, in fact, first of all, I know Jenny from Antwerp because she's from Antwerp and I'm from Antwerp.
And you knew that she was in...
I knew very well because her granddaughter is my daughter-in-law, okay? Her granddaughter married my son. So from there, but we had all the time connection.
All the time, yes.
And also when I got into all that story, I asked her also to give testimony, and she brought all the papers.
No, you man.
She found the papers of the police. When she arrived in Geneva, she was.
You have the papers of police?
Yes, she has the police papers.
And you know, on the moment, it's like they wrote on 10 o'clock in the night, 2
Yes.
minutes and 3 seconds
Yes.
or something. So pünktlich.
Pünktlich.
Muss sein.
So she told her story, and I always knew. And also I remember when she had her birthday. Do you remember? That was so inspiring. One of her grandchildren, they made up a play with a film, the story of grandmother who was in Switzerland hidden by a Goethe, and then came the liberation, and this Goethe was
Was in the war in Switzerland or you?
in Switzerland. No, she was in France, and
No,
she
no, I
was
was already in Switzerland.
she was in Switzerland. She was
And
smuggled
where
by
was your parents?
Was deported. Only my
deported.
father.
Yes, but she was smuggled by the resistance, by the French resistance. She was brought to Switzerland from France.
I had mother.
But the rabbi told that you have a picture of your parents and you cry
I have-
every night. And
לא,
you,
זה לא...
So maybe he could have exaggerated.
לא, אני לא, מה אני, עכשיו ברוך השם יש לי 3 בנות, יש לי נכדים, נינים, בני נינים.
no,
היה לך-
but when you was
cried.
child, in
הייתה לך תמונה
של ההורים
מאבא
שלך?
ואמא שלך?
כן.
כן, וזה הרב.
No, not in Switzerland.
הרב סיפר.
No.
שוויץ לא.
No,
You know what I think? I think that the rabbi maybe could have
Make a good
exaggerated.
story,
He
to make a good
exaggerated
version.
about the
Yes.
Shema
No, she
and
did.
Because maybe he wanted to be nice because nobody invited me for Rosh Hashanah. You know, I told
No,
you
that means I remember that you told me that
יהודי
that
באזל לא
nobody
לקחו
took
כל
care, but also you told me, and this was very impressive, that the Goethe, she wanted to keep your Yiddishkeit.
Yes.
She didn't let you go to the church.
But
נכון.
what I hear from her, it's still, I can't get over it.
Yes.
The Goyish woman brought her to the Talmud
Yeah.
Torah.
Yes, that's what you
And the
told.
Jewish teacher, nobody asked her, where are you staying?
and not only that.
Nobody took care of her.
And Miriam on Rosh Hashanah.
מבינה, אני הולכת...
On, and also on Rosh
You didn't
Hashanah.
tell them
She went on Rosh Hashanah by
because
herself.
I'm had she was very nice.
She was
the
very
lady.
nice to you.
She was wonderful.
You were very happy.
But she,
לא, וזה ראש השונה, אני אומרת לך.
Even Rosh Hashanah?
לא. אני הלכתי ראש השונה, she dressed me very nicely, nice shoe,
Yes.
and with a handkerchief, I remember, and a big,
Flower.
and you met her after the...
Yes.
but Jenny, when you went to shul on Rosh Hashanah
I went...
and you sat by yourself, nobody came up.
לא.
Nobody came up to you.
לא, אני לא זוכרת.
איפה היית בראש השנה?
אצלה.
לא,
אצלה מאמי.
לא, באיזה בית כנסת אבל.
You went to shul?
She took her to shul
There was
Alone?
one
She
shul.
sent me to shul, yes.
by herself, by yourself.
In the shul you stayed alone and nobody took care of you?
No, nobody asked.
How old were you there? 9?
Wait.
8.
8.
8 is
See, that is unbelievable. She was by herself in shul, and nobody came up and said, Miata, who are you?
Okay, she brought her baby at the end, lo, בהתחלה, just
Tell me
now.
another thing.
to,
Why did you get back to Antwerp?
Because after the war, the lady, said, now, I must speak also, now wir gehen zu dem Roten Kreuz. Und der Rote Kreuz, vielleicht ist jemand von deiner Familie geblieben. Und so haben sie meinen Vater gefunden.
Ah, dein Vater hat gelebt.
Der Vater war versteckt in Brüssel und so hat er...
Yeah.
Ah.
וככה נולדה
אחרת.
קלריס.
So
Yeah,
you,
and that's how Clarice, yeah.
so you went, you stayed with your
היא הבת
father?
שלה? את הבת שלה?
הבת הסנדוויץ' שלי, יש לי 3 בנות.
You stayed with your father in Antwerp?
Yes, and then I went back to my father.
And your father took you?
Yes.
And he remarried. He had a very nice woman who was a very good friend of ours.
Yes, and
she
children.
stayed- and children.
I have 3 children.
Yes, and she stayed in Antwerp. She grew up later in
And who
Antwerp.
brought you to Israel?
Myself.
Yes, when she
At
got
what
married,
age?
she came
No,
to Israel.
no,
before. You came to Israel
I
before.
wanted to go. I
When
wanted
6
to
weeks she wanted
to go to Israel,
Yes.
and
When?
then I met her father, Mr. Ashkenazi, that you know also. He aber hat
Okay.
It's such a small world.
It's unbelievable
It's
how
incredible.
things are.
It's amazing. Oh, I'm so glad you came.
הלו? כן? אני לא יכולה עכשיו לדבר פה, יש פה כמה אורחים.
אני חושבת,
לא יכולה לדבר
אני
עכשיו,
נולדתי
בסדר?
35.
אני אתן.
27.
לא דבר, כל טוב.
זה כמו אימא שלי שתהיה בריאה, גם ב-27.
תודה.
אמא שלך בחיים?
גרה בבני ברק.
אין,
אימא שלי בלי עין הרע, בלי עין הרע.
בלי עין הרע. אבל אבא שלה עד היום זה...
אבא שלי נפטר לפני 8 שנים.
כן, אבל הוא נכנס למדרגות, נשאר עומד במדרגות.
וקיבל אירוע מוחי וזה...
זה נורא.
מי?
לא, אבא שלי
שלה.
נפטר לפני 8 שנים.
בשבילו, אבל הוא נשאר במדרגות, הוא לא נפל.
הוא לא נפל.
כלום, זה משהו.
Unbelievable. We were very close even before we made the shidduch. We were very good friends and
Yes.
it's unbelievable. Antwerp, everybody knows everybody.
Everybody.
When did you come to Israel?
In 54. Just for a vacation.
No.
My vacation is still
Till now.
till now.
Did you have a profession or something?
No, I was 19 years old, and I wanted always to see a Yiddish Medina. And I came to Israel. We had almost no family, but my father-in-law, Ashkenazis, it's my father, they were in Reich in Jeshov. They were together, they knew each other, so I went there.
How did you know them?
Because I got the address from my Mizayde.
Her family knew the
Yeah.
family.
We
Two
knew the
families.
family.
Yes. The family knew.
עכשיו תשתו.
אני אביא לכם משהו לשתות.
לא, זה בסדר.
אפשר להתעלף מרוב חום, אני רוצה לשתות.
טוב, אם נתעלף אז יהיה לך עבודה.
לא, יהיה סרט טוב.
אני אחות במקצועי.
אני אתן לך.
נעמי רונבק מבית החולים, עוד משערי צדק.
מה שלומה באמת?
ההורים של מרדכי התייעצו איתי בנוגע לנעמי.
לנעמי.
זה הכל
מקסימה,
משולב.
נעמי.
וחיים היה בבני עקיבא עם הבת
מיכל, יעל.
Il y a quelque chose de nouveau chez sa fille.
המשפחה של בעלי,
C'est mon petit-fils chez Naomi.
גברת פלק, המשפחה של בעלי, הם
C'est ses fiancés.
והם גם פלק, מישהו שם פלק מהבית.
לא, לא marié tous ces enfants.
Elle a pas vu
אני לוינסקי, אבל...
לא, מיכל ויעל, deux filles qui sont mariées.
במברגר, רוזנטל.
Ma tante, Naomi.
עיקר
Oui, pas ma tante, non, non.
Parce qu'elle voulait, chaque fois elle voulait mon petit-fils.
Non, elle a marié.
רוזנטל היה...
Non, elle a marié.
הייתה מלכה רוזנטל? לא. הוא היה כתב של עיתון הארץ.
היה כתב?
כן.
של עיתון.
נכון.
כן, כן. הוא לא היה משפחה של השופט...
אולי.
Such a small world.
Il est quelque chose, elle aime se
כן, כי אני יודעת, מישהו שם, אני חושבת שהסבתא שלו עם משפחה.
Understand? No, for
הסבתא של
sure.
בעלי
I
לדעתי.
said if you want something, you got it.
הם היו גרים
אני לא שמעתי,
בהמבורג.
יש כמה קולות.
לא,
הם
אני...
גם היו גרים בהמבורג. אני חושבת שהמשפחה של הסבתא שלו זה פלק.
איך זה?
המשפחה של הסבתא של בעלי, נראה לי שזה פלק.
פלק?
הוא לוינסקי, כי הוא זה כאילו האימא.
הפלקים של בעלי זה מברסלאו, זה לא מהברסלאו.
מברסלאו. זה לא, אז זה כנראה לא.
ברסלאו היא באלף. ברסלאו זה כאילו כדאות ש...
You went back to Breslau once?
No, my husband went to, it showed me. יש שם שורה של קברים של משפחת פלק, לדורותיהם. ואיפה הוא הלך לבית ספר, ואיפה הוא הלך לתלמוד תורה.
אז הוא לקח אותך לברסלאו?
כן, ואיפה חמי למד רפואה, ואיפה היה גינה ששיחקו, הראה לי את כל...
מתי, באיזה שנה?
זה היה עוד מאוד פרימיטיבי, היה עוד שלטון ככה קומוניסטי.
זאת אומרת, בפולין קומוניסטית עוד.
ככה. היינו בבית הקברות, הוא פגש שם פרופסור שהראה לו את הקברים, פרופסור להיסטוריה, הוא קשה, וגם בוורשה, אחר כך נסע לוורשה, והוא ישב שם.
כי גם דוד שלי מרדכי.
באנגלית?
באנגלית. My uncle Mordechai also went to Breslau together with his brother. He went to see the house where they lived.
There is a other friend, Benjamin Sklar, Professor Benjamin Slaus.
Could be. I remember that they told us
Head brochure of Breslau.
of Breslau.
They are very strongly connected all
To Breslau.
But
It's interesting because my father-in-law never wanted to go back to Breslau, but they went back.
with,
Ton père était de Breslau, non?
Non, mon beau-père.
Ton oui, moi je me
de
rappelle.
Breslau.
Tu te rappelles encore? Elle était plus basse et lui il était plus. Quand vous habitiez au Chicout, chez la Mizrahi, mais aussi
Le grand-père, le grand-père.
Also père était une gare.
Bosishkin Bapina. You remember the grandfather, David Rottenberg, and the grandmother, the parents of Professor Mordechai. They used to live on Osishkin. Yes, the parents.
he's gonna close.
No, the parents of Professor Rottenberg. Yes, my grandparents. That means
And I told you,
Yes, he had a print.
He printed the invitation for a wedding.
Yes. So I knew him a few years. He passed away. He was quite young. But the grandmother, she was from München. That means the mother of Mordechai. She was from München, and I spoke German with her. She didn't speak Hebrew well.
They were friends of my parents-in-law.
After-in-laws
My parents-in-law were
from Breslau. It's interesting.
My father-in-law was from Breslau. My
Breslau.
mother-in-law was from Berlin.
Yes.
Also
The question is, there's something to see today in Breslau and Wrocław? I guess there's nothing to see.
She grew up as a child in Breslau. There is a lot
to see. Those
Yes,
who not
See the
no.
shul and so
No.
Okay, now, yeah.
That's very
Kol
important.
kasher.
Yeah, okay, so that's a
But you know what's nice, Miriam, your family is the late Rav Falk from Gateshead. That's your mishpocha, your husband's mishpocha. Yeah, I actually asked the daughter-in-law, and it's the same mishpocha.
אבל הם לא כל כך מסכימות. אבל
עכשיו את רוצה את הסיפור של שרה פנטינה?
כן.
I began before to tell the story.
No,
My father-in-law
Okay, today.
spoke to a cousin of him who was a social worker, Miss Ellen. And she told my father-in-law, who was in that time in not good economic condition, total. They were in Israel, in Tel Aviv, in a small room. He couldn't. The British didn't allow him to practice as a doctor and so on. They were not in good conditions. And he told my father-in-law, you know, we got a child, a boy from Vienna, and he's so unhappy because he's an only son, and he came alone from Vienna, and he's in this children's home. He can't get used to other children. He's very unhappy. My father-in-law said two words: bring him to me. And he was like his son. And Sarah is a daughter. Tishali.
It's the best friend of Leah. They got in Patinat.
Yes, of course.
תשאלי,
It's
אני
היא
כמו
אמרה שהיא תשאל את שרה. כן.
Unbelievable.
אני כמו גיסה,
כן, היא אמרה שהיא לא
אני
יודעת.
כמו גיסה בשביל אמא שלה.
Wow.
Wow.
You know what I see? It's so interesting. My feeling is that for years people didn't speak, people didn't tell, people were not interested, not in telling their story. We were not interested in hearing the stories. And it was like, okay, and the moment, and it's amazing because I keep discovering
כל הזמן.
every month, every year, new things that I would not have been able to discover years ago because people didn't speak, they were reluctant.
I tell you, when I came to Israel,
Yes.
I was 19 years old, so I came alone by Aliyabed in very difficult conditions with Beria. And I said once to some girl, we were very hungry. You speak of hunger. You know what we had in Israel? We had only olives and bread and orange and
And orange and
I heard that. I never spoke about hunger anymore. Once I said something, we were living in terrible fright because the Germans captured us. And I was in camp, and I was in prison, and I was in over the border and so on. So she said, you speak of, that was somebody else, you speak of frightened, or being frightened. You know that the Germans were in El Alamein in Egypt? So near! And you speak of being frightened?
Wow.
No word. And all my best friends, I never heard their story, and they never heard my story. When I wrote my book at the age of 80,
Yes.
a nurse who worked with me in Shaare Zedek many years ago
Yes.
said, "You are a Holocaust survivor?" I never knew.
I never knew.
I never spoke about it.
It was a bush.
I was alone.
It
It was like I tell you, it's
Yes.
it's very interesting what you tell me, because you know when I'm teaching about liberation and rehabilitation, there's a big difference in the areas where the Holocaust survivors landed. So we have America, we have Israel, we have Europe, and even in Europe there were big differences. For instance, as you say, I do hear many stories about Israeli Holocaust survivors who arrived here, and even if they wanted to start to tell their stories, they were hushed. First of all, they despised them, or they didn't want to hear the story. Kasson Lateva, Sabonim. Did you hear about that very interesting film about an Israeli general by the name, he was a Chaver Knesset also, Lakat HaZe'evim. He was in Antwerp also. His name is, why do I forget his name? He had a brother, he was in Antwerp.
Yes, he was in Antwerp.
A general in the army.
I brought him to the secretariat.
I forgot his name. And he tells the whole story, the same story. He came, Yossi Pellet. Yossi Pellet. Yossi Pellet. He was in Antwerp and he was hidden by Goyim next to Antwerp. And he came back with a team of TV to retell the stories to his son. So he told that when he came here in the country, he right away, why does he call his film Lakat HaZe'evim? He had to be a wolf. He had to be like, you know, he had to be strong, and so, because they told, you were in the Holocaust. So here in Israel, it was one story, a very sad story. People didn't want to tell, people want to hear. Now, in America, all the Holocaust survivors who arrived there, when I heard their stories, they said, "Oh, come on, you know, the Americans, now it's time to make bucks, to make dollars, you know, go work, forget about, you know, whatever was."
If you could forget.
They didn't want to hear it because we are busy making money. Yeah. Now, in Europe, it depends the place. In Antwerp, we were all Holocaust survivors. That's there was no like people who did not pass the Holocaust. Like in England, there were two communities. Like, okay, they had the Blitzkrieg, okay, but most of English Jewish people, you can't say they went through the Holocaust. They had hard times, but it was not ghettos and camps. So the Jews who came to England, that was one story. In Switzerland, they had no Holocaust. The Swiss people. But in Antwerp, the whole community were Holocaust survivors. They were all the parents, or from Poland, or from Hungary. And most of them, you know, when I speak to my friends, like I would say 95%, they did not speak. They wanted to start a new life. They erected a beautiful community, you know.
I tell you something. We wanted to bring up our children in a happy atmosphere. And I didn't even want to tell my husband so much things. We started, all the people in Israel began to speak when there was the Eichmann process.
Yes,
I'm a nurse. I can tell you that after Eichmann process, Bate Cholim L'Cholei Nefesh got full up. Then people began.
I was a little girl, I remember. I was 6 years old.
Then things came out, and the Israelis didn't get so much to understand them. The psychologists and psychiatrists didn't have any understanding at all.
Yes.
And so many people collapsed.
I heard the daughter of Gideon Hausner speaking.
Yes.
She said she remembers that a survivor came to their house.
Yes.
And the father, Gideon, was trying to convince them
to come and testify.
And they said no one will believe us.
Yes.
They didn't want to do.
And I heard another story. Gabriel Bach, who was the prosecutor.
Survivor. I was told that in America, when we visited in America, I never thought I was a Holocaust survivor. But when we were in America, people said, "But you're a Holocaust survivor." I said, "I know, I was not in Auschwitz. I was only in camps there and prison and so on." It's nothing. You are a Holocaust survivor. Then I began to realize it's my category also.
Yes. But very interesting what you say about the Eichmann's trial. I heard an amazing story about Gabriel Bach. He came to speak in the Michlala when it was 70 years of the Eichmann's trial. He was a prosecutor. And he said, and we asked him some stories behind the curtain. Can you tell her stories, that we don't know? He said, yes. A whole year they were preparing the trial of Eichmann, and they needed, in fact, all those who came to testify, they wanted to hear the story, but in order to accuse him, they needed in fact, papers and written. Okay, so they were looking for in whole Europe where they could find. So they tried to find transports who Eichmann himself personally was in charge, and he signed those transports. Was very important. So they tried to find those transports till they found whose transport they were, and then they could find the people with the numbers who were in those transports and try to locate them in the whole world. Now just think about 1960 without computer, how do you locate and you trace people all over the world? Anyhow, they have already the number of the people who were in that specific transport, and they look for them and they can't find them. Now let's say it's between 1617 and this one, and they look for them, and it's very important to have those people come to testify because they were in this transport. So Gabriel Bach tells that once they had a meeting with the police staff officers, high police officers who were involved in the research of those documents, and one of the policeman, a rough, a tough one, he was sitting over there, and they were talking about finding those people with this number. And they said that they're desperate because we can't find, maybe nobody survived, we can't find. And then there was a hush in the meeting, and that specific Israeli rough policeman, he folds his shirt and he shows everybody the number. First of all, he has a number. They all nearly fainted. Oh, police! Goes, you were there? Your house goes. He said, I never ever would have told that. And then he showed them that he had the right number, and he could testify. Si je m'excuse, je suis dans une assez fâche, je te téléphone plus tard. Non, elle est sortie avec Anat. Elle est sortie avec Anat promener.
Unbelievable.
Oh, je sais pas. Ouais, non, elle est sortie sans doute faire un tour. Je ne sais pas. Bye.
We didn't want to tell the children anything.
So imagine that this policeman.
The next generation began to hear
because of Bas Mitzvah, the Bas Mitzvah or Bar Mitzvah, they had to tell our story, and then it began to reopen, and
I think that my son and my daughter didn't hear anything, only the grandchildren.
The many families it started with the grandchildren.
Yes.
But also, what language should we talk? My husband said, if we speak German, then we help the parents on both sides. That I can't speak German to a Jewish child. Impossible. No. I would speak French, but the French of my husband was not so good. He was never. So that didn't. So we spoke Hebrew, and they, of course, as I said afterwards, why didn't you tell us, teach us a language? But I couldn't. All kinds of
yes, we have the same issues.
But he's still alive. Gabriel Bach. He's
he's not alive.
No, he is.
Bach is alive.
I met him. He was. Sure.
Yes. He's very
old, but he must be old because
he is. But he's still very. His mind is clear. He's amazing.
Where does he live?
I don't know, but I met him twice. He spoke once at a talk. He gave like an hour-long talk, and then he spoke again at the Bacon Center. I videoed it.
I heard it.
Dr. Glassman told you about my story.
Yes.
And you knew.
And you know what? And Annette told me that the number. And then I phoned Jenny immediately, and I couldn't. And I said, "Were you?"
were friends from Antwerp already.
Yes.
In Antwerp, everybody knows everybody.
Yes. Everybody.
I took my grandchildren, two of the eldest children of Chaim, to Antwerp.
Where did you live in Antwerp? In what street?
Rue Saint-Thomas.
Where's Cassette?
Just that's from the Langeleemstraat. St. Thomasstraat.
We came to the house, and there was a big mezuzah on the house. So we rang the bell, and then I was told the people are in Palestine, in Israel for revocation.
Is it not from the Langeleemstraat, the little street? Can
No,
you
I think
remember?
from the other grades.
Zurenborgstraat.
No, c'est pas ce côté, c'est
No?
St. Thomas.
Wow.
Next to the St. Vicentius, not far from the hospital, the St. Vicentius.
Je suis née là-bas.
Moi aussi.
Oh, toi aussi?
Ouais.
זה בית חולים סין ויצנציוס, אז שם נולדתי.
Where is it somewhere, the St. Thomas?
I went to the Goyish school because Yesodei Torah was open 2 years after my age, because we came in 34.
34.
So there was no Jewish school. There was Takimoni for my brothers,
Yes.
but for me and my sisters,
where
there was
was-
So what school did
we
you
were
go?
in a school where half the children were Jews. And my father spoke to the directrice. She said, if you're from Germany, then the best thing the children should go in a Flemish class.
Yes.
And my father said no.
No.
He spoke beautiful French.
French.
Because he was before World War I. He was in Paris already 6 years. And he said, you know, Jews never know where they will be in the next few years. Flemish is not an international language.
That's why the Jews started
French
to
is
speak
an
French.
international
French,
language.
therefore we speak French.
So where was the school?
So it's another thing. The directrice saw that we are religious.
Yes.
Every Friday she called my sister or me and asked at what time is Shabbos.
Wow.
And half an hour before Shabbos, the big clock of the school was they would
Yes.
bing bang,
Bing bing.
and all the Jewish children of
Went
all the
out.
classes stood in line and came out of the school.
But where was it? In what street? You remember?
I took the children there. I don't remember now the name. You know, I'm in 93, it's many years ago.
Yes, but you know the streets, they remained all the same.
Yet I tried to find the school. I didn't find it. I found another school and I shot the children of Chaim. The policemen took the children from the first to the last to bring them home because there was so much anti-Semitism. It was
In Antwerp?
in Antwerp.
Ja.
There was police guard with the children of the school. I was amazed. אתה זוכר מתי לקחתי את הספירה ואת ידידיה?
עכשיו, כן.
ספירה הייתה בת 16 או 15.
היום את יודעת שהולכים עם גרביים לבנות?
19 שנה.
ועם השטרם ועם
19 years ago.
19 years ago?
And there was police bringing the Jewish children.
Ah, today. You're talking about today. You're talking not in your time. You're talking
No,
about
now,
now. Yes, of
19 years ago.
course.
No?
Of course,
In
because
19 years
not because of
ago.
anti-Semitism,
I
because
was
of the
amazed.
Arabs and because
כל בית כנסת יש
yes, there was police all over all the
every Shabbos,
synagogues.
every Friday.
All of the synagogues, the policemen in the school, yes,
In the
yes.
school.
That was very important for me to show my grandchildren who are sabras.
Yes.
Can't imagine what
Yes.
it means, anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism.
What does it mean?
Yes, 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 yes.
But I didn't find the school. The school was very nice.
Yes.
But when the Germans came in 40, they didn't allow anymore the Jewish children to go out of the school on Friday. We had to be on Shabbos in school, so we didn't bring anything. There was
Yes.
no, and we had to make exams without writing, bal pay, orally.
Oral.
Yes, but the Germans didn't allow us to go out of the school.
Wow.
And I can tell you
It's
now,
interesting.
yesterday, יש לנו את ה... זה לא קשור עם אנטוורפ, יש לנו הפגנות הלא. אז הגעתי אתמול לבלפור. מי את? ולאן את הולכת? ומה, את לא מאמינה מה שזה היה.
ואת לא מראה שיש את הטיולים? הם לא מכניסים אותה, צריכה כבר
כן, חלק הם לא נתנו לי עם האוטו ללכת. You understand Hebrew.
Sure. This is with the Afghanot, with the protests.
Now. And it's next to my house.
Yeah,
And so they are, yesterday,
Now it's not a mitzvah. Well, we're gonna take you out and we'll bring you to Beit Vegan. There we don't have any Hafganot.
My daughter lives in Beit Vegan. So
I live in Beit Vegan.
she lives in Beit Vegan. And she lives next to me. I need somebody next
Did
to
you
me.
know Lea Silber in Beit Vegan?
Lea Silber, of course I know her.
Lea Silber is not living anymore. Then you don't know her if you know her
no,
now.
because there's another, and she's not Lea, she's Mirjam maybe. Lea Silber. Where did she live on Beit Vegan? You don't know.
Anymore.
No.
C'est toute une vie. Ah, tu sais déjà.
Rav Neuber, you better know.
Yes.
I came on Aliyah with Rav Neuvel.
Yes,
מה
of
המסקנה
course.
שיהודי באזל
Yeah.
היו מגעילים?
And Miriam, you remember the story that he wouldn't go on the ship on Shabbos? And then
Remember all the things. I didn't
Miriam's
forget
memory
anything.
about her book it's just word for word. It's word for
In
word.
which language? בגרמנית?
מה?
איך כתבת את הספר? באיזה שפה?
בעברית.
בעברית.
But there's also in English. There's an English translation.
בעברית, אבל כיוון שהרבה אנשים ביקשו את התרגום, ואני לא רציתי להוציא, זה הרבה כסף להוציא ספר עם תמונות ועם נייר טוב.
כן.
חיים רצה שזה יוצא נייר הכי טוב ותמונות וככה. אז החלטתי לתת את זה למתרגמת של המכללה, שמתרגמת כל ספרי השואה.
זה למם? פתואר?
לא, מה שבחינות הוא מתרגם.
והיא מתרגמה את זה, שילמתי לה על זה, ואחיינית הכניסה את זה לאינטרנט.
And that's where I read it. I read it from
אימייל,
I
אני
have
נותנת
both
את
in
הלינק,
French and in
ואז את יכולה לראות את כל הספר
The Voyage of My Life.
במחשב שלך.
yeah.
זה לא עלה
And
מכסף.
it's
וכל הספר נמצא בחינם בתוך המחשב,
English.
באנגלית.
לא, זה איך קוראים לו? איך קראת את זה באנגלית?
Her book?
מטואר.
No, my book is How Could I Not Have Known? in
Oui,
English.
mais comment est-ce que si j'aurais su?
את ראית את זה באנגלית או באנגלית?
לא, אני ראיתי את הספר שלך בעברית.
בעברית?
במכללה, לפני הרבה שנים.
אני הרציתי במכללה כמה פעמים.
אני אביא לנו ספר לכל אחד.
אני ראיתי את זה והייתי צריכה להחזיר את זה כי זה היה מהספרייה, אבל אני רוצה לראות את זה באמת עוד פעם.
It's a very special book.
Yes, I have to read it now.
It's a
Now that
very
I met, certainly.
I
I wrote my book in Hebrew. I didn't write it. I took somebody to write it.
Yes, but-
I translated it to English, and now it's translated
And
into
I
French.
asked it in French. I asked her to...
Ah, you have it now in French?
Yes,
Ah, j'ai
I have
compris.
both of them.
In English and in
Hebrew-
French.
No, English no.
No.
French and...
And Hebrew. And now I'm looking to translate it into Spanish.
And another language, of course.
In Spanish.
And we're going to be making a video on the book.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's
זיכרון בסלון.
זיכרון בסלון.
זה גם אני עושה.
כן?
כן, אני עושה.
יפה.
עם נכון, וזה מאוד מוצלח.
זה מצווה לפי דעתי.
Yes.
אני עושה את זה, ומאוד...
תעודה.
וקיבלתי תעודה.
איזה יום.
זה את מצאת.
אני בלי משקפיים, ספינת חיי. אני לקחתי את זה פעם מהמכללה לפני הרבה שנים. Oui, bien sûr qu'on va payer.
and that shows the whole route from
Oh wow, Hamburg, Antwerp,
and eventually to Israel.
Brussels, Paris.
It's an incredible book.
Wow.
And the pictures are, it's just
The
unbelievable.
Gurs. There's a very famous. You were in.
לא, זה לא את, אימא, לא...
You were in Gurs also? In Gurs?
And Gurs,
I
yes.
played in Gurs.
And Miriam drew a picture in Gurs.
There was
The
a very,
picture.
there's a very picture in Gurs from Rav
לא
Ansbacher.
שמעתי אם יש הרבה רעש.
Rav Ansbacher was in Gurs.
You're telling me.
And there's a picture where you see Rav Ansbacher on a.
Read in my book.
Yes.
When I met Rav Ansbacher in Israel,
Yes.
his reaction.
Miriam, can you tell them about the Shavuot?
Shavuot.
The whole story of Shavuot, that it was a nice with the lightning and
nothing.
זה לא אימא.
it's
לא,
incredible.
למה?
כי כתוב שהוא אמר שהיא מנצלים אותה כעוזרת בית בלילה.
לא.
והיא שוכבת במיטה בחדר של משרתות.
Maybe
תראי, יכול להיות
you know,
שהרב עשה מזה...
he could have exaggerated.
אבל מה שאת כתבת, את כתבת שהרב התחיל עם זה שיש ילדים יהודים שנקלטו על ידי משפחות נוצריות בשוויץ. הוא לא דיבר על אחת, הוא דיבר על...
סליחה, הוא דיבר
בכלל
על
תופעה.
בוא נשאל. את יודעת שהיו עוד בנות? עוד לא.
Okay, so this is the main question. Okay.
דיבר על כלל.
Okay.
את יודעת
אז
על
זה
אחד,
עוד
אבל
לא
לא
כל כך
דיברתי
נגע.
על פליסי.
אבל כשדיבר על ילדה, הוא בקהילה.
על לכל, mais par exemple, moi j'ai pas fait
את
toutes les
היום לא יכולה
classes.
להירגע.
Je suis arrivée.
שדמרתי, הבעל,
Oui.
היו עוד ילדים.
כן, אני הבנתי, לא.
לא.
You see,
לא
this
היה לי שום
is your mom.
קשר.
There was no other Jewish
She
kid.
would have known.
There was
כן,
no.
אני חושבת, אבל זה
She would
לא...
have met
She would have met
תראי,
them.
מה שהכי מדהים,
איפה?
היא אומרת שהפרוטסטנטית הביא אותה לתלמוד תורה.
כן.
היא באה לשיעורי תורה ואף אחד לא שאל אותה מאיפה.
נכון.
And you know even more, Miriam, that she went to shul on Rosh Hashanah by herself. She sat there and nobody came up and said, "Who are you? Have you got a? How can that's the car."
נו, את מבינה מה שלפעמים, הם יודעות, לפעמים זה פשוט לא להבין, לא...
It's
It's,
unbelievable.
and Jenny, it still upsets you.
It still upsets me, yes.
But I want to tell you something that, you know, there are many stories. I did hear about stories, for instance, children from the Kindertransport who came to England, and also my mother told me she knew that there were a lot of Jewish families who did not
I can
accept
tell
the
you
children.
a personal story. The brother of my father-in-law was very, very religious.
Yes.
His son and daughter were sent by the Kindertransport to London, to England. The girl was taken to a Jewish children's home.
Yes.
The boy was too big. No family took him. So he was put with Goyim to work in B'chaklaut.
Agriculture.
Yes. He was so angry with the Jews. He was angry with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He married a shiksa. And after the war, when the father met again the son pleaded, the father pleaded, make her Tasvira Giur. She said, we don't believe in anything. We can't make Giur b'sheker.
Terrible.
That's because of that. So you came out a religious
You had a special malochim that
Yes.
protected you.
That Goyish woman was like its status.
Yes.
אז רגע, באמת
that you
Yeah.
came out religious and normal.
So
and
tell me,
everything.
you constantly kept in contact with her?
Constantly.
I was with my husband a week in Basel
was
after we
there.
got married.
Yes.
She gave us a room. Every night we went to sleep, and then she told us to open the drawer, and it was a chocolate חבילה של chocolate שוויצרי there, and she knew that we can't eat with her or something,
Yes.
but she was wonderful. And also after the 6th, we were little kids, after the Sheshta Yamim,
Six-day war.
she came here to visit. We have pictures with her. She came to
Now
And also something she
Yes.
wanted. She was ready to take the children. When this is the 6-day war,
before
she
there was a
scared.
very
the
tense.
tense
So
period.
she wrote and she said to my mother if she wanted to send us
To the children to
Wow.
Switzerland. Now, just like she was Protestant.
Yes,
Now
Protestant
this is
is
very
much
interesting.
better.
I want to tell you.
פרוטסטנטים הרבה יותר טובים.
הם טובים יותר.
They say also. Did you hear about that amazing town in France? I showed a film and I heard a lot about Le Chambon-sur-Lignon, that town that saved 5,000 Jewish children. The Hakomer, the pastor, and he was Protestant, Trocmé. And from statistics, the Protestants, they were willing more to save Jews and not baptize them, which by Catholics nearly never ever happened.
Not only baptized them, but after the war,
Yes.
my sister, my younger sister, she's in Argentina now, she's 2 years younger than me. She was back in Antwerp. I came directly to Israel. She was with other people trying to get into cloisters to get out the Jewish children, because the Catholic didn't let the Jewish children out. And there were Jewish girls going into these things by night, or climbing about the walls and so on, trying to find the Jewish children and take them out. The Protestants gave the children back.
But you remember there was a big process after the war.
שנים,
האחים finale.
נכון.
They didn't want to give them.
Yes.
You remember, one is a doctor, אני סיפרתי לך את זה, אני חושבת. Finally.
You have a sister. You have a sister living.
תעשה הביתה.
Miriam?
תודה רבה.
You have a sister living in Argentina still now.
תודה רבה.
Darava.
You have a sister in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. What's her name?
Eva Kaufman.
Kaufman. She still lives there.
She's completely Saudi, the Mossad Saudi.
Because I was in Buenos Aires. I know a lot of people over there. Kaufman. Where does he live in what area? Do you know? Once.
כבר הרבה שנים במוסד.
But you were in
10 שנים
Mexico, no?
בבעל עם
No, in Argentina
היא
also.
קיבלה 10 שנים בבעל עם אלצהיימר.
ובעלה
נפטר.
נפטר.
וכשבעלה נפטר, היא הייתה בעצם האוזמנש. היא לא שמה לב שהיא איבדה את כל החברים, את כל הקונטקט עם כולם. ונהייתה סיעודית לגמרי, שקלה 40 קילו הייתה, בדיפרסיה עמוקה. היא כל כך טיפלה בו שהיא איבדה את עצמה על משהו.
But Miriam, your brother, you've got an elder brother who lives in Bnei Brak?
My eldest brother, he'll be next week, אם ירצה השם, בן 98. He learns every day, he learns a lot, because he prepares himself for Revrute.
So just what is your maiden name? What's your brother's name?
Strauss.
Strauss. You know what? I have Mechatonim now, but I don't know if you're connected. Strauss and Bnei Brak. What are their names? No. The grandparents of my granddaughter, that means from, the name is Sholem David Strauss.
No, אין לכם
Strauss. There are a lot of Strauss. There was Strauss.
Bertolt Strauss, in London.
Yeah, but here in the country there are also.
Yes, Strauss, Chocolate Strauss.
Yeah. Where does your brother live in Bnei Brak?
In Givat Shaul. Oh, in Givat Shaul.
Here in Givat Shaul he lives.
My youngest brother was Rav of Sharet Tzedek many years.
Yes. So,
Rav Strauss.
So, he's connected to you, the Rav of Sharet
My
Tzedek?
brother passed away.
Your brother was the Rav of Sharet Tzedek?
Many years.
So just a second.
Rav Strauss.
So his son, just a second, the son of your brother, Strauss, is...
באלעד?
No, is...
יהודה?
No, another
יש
one.
בן אחד באלעד והאחרים בירושלים.
בירושלים. What's his first name?
אריה יוסי.
Aryeh Strauss. I met him yesterday. He's my son's best friend. He lives in Romema here. Aryeh Strauss.
My nephew.
The kid Nehemiah?
Nehemiah.
C'est un ami de Nehemiah.
Shabbat, where did Nehemiah eat? By Aryeh Strauss. They're friends like this.
Miriam, is this not amazing? Is this not?
Aryeh Strauss. I met him yesterday. We went to visit Nehemiah, so we came down. We met Aryeh. Hey, Aryeh, how are you?
My grandson.
Yes, a grandson.
He's married to my granddaughter.
My mother pretends if you don't find family after 10 minutes you speak, then you haven't spoken enough, okay? So continue speaking because Aryeh Strauss is your nephew. I'm going to call Aryeh now and tell him that I met you. It's amazing. We are very close with Aryeh. Mamish, very, very close. Because you told me, yes, that your brother was the Rav of Sharet Tzedek and Aryeh, so, you know, I made it. And
הבן שלה, חבר טוב של אריה.
אריה, חבר מאוד טוב של הבן שלי.
מקסים. אני השארתי את הדלת פתוחה.
טוב.
בסדר, שלום לכולם.
שלום, תודה. I need another question. You were a nurse in Sharet Tzedek, so you must have known. Yes, so you must have known Gisela Pearl.
Me?
Gisela Pearl, she was a midwife. Gisela Pearl, she was a midwife in Auschwitz and she came to the States and then she came to Israel. No? I thought that maybe you would know her. ציפורה, אני עוד מעט חוזרת הביתה, יש לי את זה באוטו ואז אני אכניס לך את זה בתיבה, כי אני לא בבית. לא, חס וחלילה, אני לא בבית ויש לי את זה באוטו, כשאני חוזרת אני שמה לך את זה בארון חשמל.
It's amazing, eh? And Miriam was actually the head nurse at the nursing school.
הרב נויברט היה מחותן של אחי בגבעת שאול. הבן עקיבא, עם הבת של אחי.
יפה. רגע, ואתם גם משפחה עם דוקטור פלק? דוקטור פלק שלזינגר קראו.
שלזינגר. דוקטור פלק שלזינגר זה רק, אצלו זה פלק זה שם פרטי. אצלנו פלק זה שם משפחה. אז תמיד חשבו את זה. אבל הוא היה הבוס שלי, כי הוא היה מנהל בית החולים, והייתי מנהל בית ספר לחיות.
אבל את היית אחות עוד בשערי צדק הישן בטח לא.
אני למדתי מ-47 עד 50.
With Dr. Wallach?
And Dr. Wallach, you must have...
Sure, he interviewed.
Wow, no, it's amazing. It's amazing because you're a piece of history.
הייתי מנהלת בית הספר מ-59 עד 63.
The head of the nursing school.
אחרי הצעדים הראשונים התפטרתי. אז אמרו לי, את שיגעון, למה? אמרתי, אני לא רוצה שהגיעה העוזרת שלימדה אותו ללכת, תלמד אותו גם לדבר. אז הייתי צריכה להמשיך לזכור את שנת הלימודים, ואז הלכתי הביתה לגדל את הילדים.
וואו.
כמה ילדים יש לך?
2. אבל הרבה נכדים ונינים, ברוך השם.
ברוך השם, ברוך השם.
זה ליין להור, זה אלה כבר בנינים בטח,
עוד אין.
עוד,
הנינה הכי גדולה בת 14. שלי
הנינה הגדולה בת 23.
וואו.
כן, אביגיל.
אביגיל.
בטח.
בת הרבה יותר צעירה ממני.
לי יש 2 נינים כבר. לי יש, איפה 2 נינים? 4 נינים. יש לי 4 נינים. 2
אביגיל ותמר.
לי יש 4 נינים כבר. אני נולדתי ב-54.
רגע, ואלך ממיכל
וכן, יש לה נכד אחד.
נו, זה יותר מ4.
4. 2, 1 מתמר, 2 מאביגיל ו1 מישראל. 4. אני נולדתי ב-54.
את רוצה לראות אותם?
בלי עין הרע, בלי עין הרע.
כל ערב יש לי את הוואטסאפ.
אבל מעניין, אני מנסה להבין מאיפה אנחנו מכירות, חוץ מזה שאת גברת אשכנזי. האם למדת במתן?
לא. אני בבית ספר לא, אני באתי פה מוכנה, גיבאתי.
לא בית ספר, מתן זה מכון תורה לנשים.
כן, למדתי תקופה מסוימת במתן.
אולי שמה את נפגשנו?
יכול להיות.
וואו.
בית ספר, כן. אבל זה התחיל להיות מאוד מסובך לי עם האוטו וכניסה, אז עוד נסעתי עם אוטו ואת זוכרת?
תאמיני, אני הלכתי ברגל פה.
מה?
אני הלכתי ברגל.
כן, אולי חותכים פעם. עם חריף, אלישבע חריף, את מכירה?
הייתה גרה פה, היא
נכון.
נשארת, רואה?
אלישבע חריף היא מהמבורג.
נכון.
ואבא שלה היה מוהל. אני אוכל לספר עליו עוד פעם.
It's amazing, hey?
It's amazing.
You know what, can I just say one thing? I'm just going to sit here because...
But I have
the chairman, the coordinator.
Not the chairman, but I wanted to say something I think very significant.
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I just want to thank you all, and it's just the most amazing, incredible... Miriam said, Nisim v'niflat.
Yes.
Now, I have a patient, Mirjam Peters, and she won't mind. She's a gayress, and Miriam invites every Friday night gayrim or people that have nowhere to go. They come here for dinner, and she told me the story of Miriam. So just as you had an amazing, righteous Goya that incredible that she kept you a year and a full year. It's unbelievable.
In fact, she could have kept her without telling anybody. It was Switzerland.
She didn't have to go and look who survived from the family.
Yes.
She didn't have a chiyuv to do that. And Miriam, that you invite gayrim to your home, and you invite people that have nowhere to go.
My husband made a very special thing for gayrim, because gayrim are alone.
Yes.
They need us more than ever. Of Shabbos and Yom Tov. We had always gayrim on Shabbos and Yom Tov. I have already my guest for Rosh Hashanah.
So if it wouldn't have been for Meirav, because she told me about Miriam, we wouldn't, in a way, we might not have been sitting here tonight. So I'm so grateful.
So fantastic.
It's unbelievable.
So I just want to thank you all, and if I wouldn't have met with you, and you wouldn't have given me the number of Jenny.
Yeah, you see?
It's all min hashamayim.
Jenny she told me something very interesting about you. She said she feels that you are very assertive. Whatever you want, you do it, and that's why you get to have all these stories.
Well, Miriam wasn't so keen to do the interview, and we kind of convinced her, and Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. It's very important. What you do is a very important work for the next generations, not only for our children and our grandchildren, and for...
אני דיברתי בקרן שפירברג. בקרן קידוש השם.
גם אני.
וכתבתי ספר.
הייתי רוצה לראות את זה. את שפירברג, יש לי את הקסטה, אבל של בבני ברק גם דיברתי.
בגנזך קידוש השם.
בקידוש השם, אז איפה אפשר לראות את זה?
שם שיש להם את זה בגנזך.
אני צריכה לבקש.
אני חושבת שקיבלנו את הקלטת, אנחנו כבר לא זוכרים.
מזה לא קיבלתי, משפירברג קיבלתי.
אני צריכה לבקש שייתנו לך באמת.
מני שיש.
Anyhow.
את עובדת, you are working in the...
I'm working in the Ginzach also,
yes.
Yes.
What is...
mainly when they have guests coming in, I'm introducing the Ginzach, what they are doing, and they in fact they want to build a museum now, and so I'm very involved with all the you know, all they do, and they have a lot of, you know, ambassadors that come over to visit Ginzach. Also the Ministry of Education, Derry was there, and Litzman was there. All they want to come and see where. So the problem is that in the Ginzach, they don't have people who speak languages. They all speak only Hebrew, and I'm the only one who speaks English and French. And I have to tell you something. You know what? This can be interesting for you also. We had an amazing meeting in the Ginzach where I spoke German, which I don't like to speak so much, but because I speak German, there was a group of grandchildren of Nazis who discovered what their grandfathers and grandmothers did, and they are very, very, very angry with them, and they want to do something for Israel. So in fact they came to Israel and they support Israel, but then they heard about this from institution, the Ginzach Kiddush Hashem, and they came to visit there. So they quickly called me because I speak German, and I brought my mother over there, and I have a film, I have a clip. I can show it to you.
Wow.
And then it was amazing because we found one whose grandfather was the German officer who sat in Antwerp, and he wrote the edict to send away all the Antwerp Jews on the Kessel, and he went to look at that office. All kind of weird things, and they came over there, and they say that, and my mother said it's amazing, and I really admire you, because in fact you really go against the stream. Today the stream in the world is to be anti-Semite and to support neo-Nazis, and if you want to go against this, is first of all you're not in. Definitely, and it's very courageous. You need a lot of courage to do that, and so I admire you. I think you know that you're very, very special. And then one of those grandchildren asked my mother the next question. He said, "Can you forgive us?"
Wow.
And my mother was like this, and I took the word and I said, "Listen, there's only one and only one who can forgive. And that's God. Only Hashem can forgive. We have no credit to speak in the name of 6 million who went, and this is something that we can't do, okay? We can only tell you that we do admire what you do, your job, you're doing a fantastic thing. Forgiveness is in the hand only of God." Okay?
Oh, that's amazing answer.
I heard it once from Rav Lau.
Wow.
Sure.
You have a profession.
I teach Holocaust. In an English seminar in English, in Israeli seminars in Hebrew, in Belz now in Yiddish. I give lectures, and when I go to France, yes. No, מטעם עצמי. Because I'm not teaching history. I'm teaching about אמונה and faith in the Holocaust. I speak about people. כן, אני מלמדת בצורה מסודרת. I give lectures and I bring films and clips.
In Yad Vashem before the...
I speak in Yad Vashem. Sometimes they invite me in summer when they have השתלמויות. I do speak in Yad Vashem.
מכללה הזמינה אותי ביד ושם לדבר.
Okay, so I speak in the מכללה. In the מכללה I was teaching the French girls. Now not anymore, but in the מכללה I give a lot of lectures. They know me. I'm part of the staff of the מכללה also.
דיברתי במכללה בפני נשים, בפני בנות, ופעם בתוך יד ושם.
עכשיו את יכולה לספר שבאמת פגשת מישהי שהייתה בבאזל והיא לא לקחו אותה.
יש לך תוספת.
Amazing.
שהיה ילדה שלא רצו, היהודים לא רצו לקחת.
זה מעניין מאוד.
Thank you so much. This was unbelievable.
אני רוצה לשמוע מי זאת, האם באמת לא לקחו אותה? כי המשפחה שלהם עשתה המון בשביל זה.
Glassman, I'll bring you the book of
I can read.
It's very interesting. Very nice.
Wow, this was wonderful. Oh, thank you so much, everybody. Wow, and thank you.
היא מתלפנתי פעמיים, 3 בשנה.
הם נוסעים הרבה. הם נוסעים הרבה.
תודה לכם. Wow, was this not unbelievable? This is something...
הם נוסעים הרבה עם משה.
No, Yossi is...
עם הבעל שלה.
Okay, thank you so much.
Nice.
Well, Mirjam, if it was only for tonight's meeting,
If it only for that occasion, it was worthwhile to write the book. It was a difficult job for me to write the book. It was very moving, and lots of money, of course, lots of effort. But to have such an evening, to find that girl, that little Jewish girl who was alone with a Protestant family and stayed Orthodox Jewish, that's an unbelievable story. And everything is worthwhile for that.
and if not for your book, and if not for meeting you,
Yes.
we wouldn't have known.
Yes.
Yes.
Nisim v'niflot.
J'habite dans la maison des Guillemets. Ouais.
Wow.